'Twas the night before Christmas as One-Up lay in bed, but just as he did, his mind filled with dread.
Wait, what?
For he realized, made a grave mistake. A Christmas review he had yet to make.
Oh shit, you're right.
To his PlayStation 2 games he merrily skipped.
Wait, what? Why?
Just do it.
Okay. Tra-la-la-la-la.
He picked up his disc book and hurriedly flipped. He searched for a new game for himself to review.
Wait. Why am I talking about PS2? Why not this NES from good old 83? I have a Retron to capture it in HD.
Put down that Retron and NES from 83. This is my story, so listen to me.
Yeah? Well, this is my show, so long and bye-bye. This review must get done and this bit's getting dry.
Oh, please, one more verse. Just pick up the book. I promise a smile if you'll only look.
Fine.
Then he saw a game near and dear to his heart. He said,
This'll do.
Hey, that didn't rhyme.
Counts as a verse. See you next year.
Oh.
Happy holidays, guys. Oneupgamer here, and you know something? I've been thinking I could use a new look for the new year, and between you and me, this ponytail's been driving me nuts lately, so you know what? I think I'm done with it. It's just gonna let my hair down from now on. Ooh, you know, that actually feels way better. Where was I? Oh yeah! Nightmare Before Christmas.
I don't think I have to say much about this movie. It's an animated classic loved the world over, and while it's not incredibly Christmassy, what Christmas elements it does have never fail at getting me and many others into the Christmas spirit, with its lovable characters, great storyline, and amazing score by Danny Elfman.
Now why am I talking about this? Because, as most of us know, the film was originally released by Touchstone Pictures, a distribution banner used by the Walt Disney Company to release films they didn't feel met their squeaky clean image. And we all know what happens when Disney gets a hold of something popular.
Merchandise everywhere! Mugs, toys, costumes, those weird Funko Pop figure things with the oversized head. I never really got the appeal of those.
And of course, video games.
Now, Disney wanted two Nightmare video games to be released, a portable on the Game Boy Advance and a console exclusive for the PS2 and Xbox. Both games were to be published by Disney's team at Buena Vista Games, but development was handed over to TOS for the Game Boy Advance game and Capcom for the console release. From this, we got the Nightmare Before Christmas The Pumpkin King and the Nightmare Before Christmas Oggy's Revenge, both released in North America on October 10th, 2005.
Now what's interesting about these games is that they serve as a prequel and a sequel to the film, respectively.
Pumpkin King takes place a year before the events of the movie, and Revenge takes place a year after.
Now I would love to review both games, but unfortunately I only own Oggy's Revenge for the PS2, but you know, perhaps that's for the best, because I have a lot to say about this game, especially because this is what got me interested in Nightmare Before Christmas. I'd never even heard of the movie before this game came out. But I've been setting up for about 5 minutes, so we better get going.
As soon as the game starts, we're greeted by an opening movie with the rhyme from the film, followed by an explanation of the game's story and shots of gameplay. After that, we get to the title screen, and upon starting a new game, see extended versions of the cutscenes we just watched. So wait, we have to watch the story before we can watch the story again but longer, and then we can play the game.
Yeah, I remember even as a kid I didn't quite understand why they did that. I mean, I guess if you're one of those kind of people that mashes buttons to skip opening logos, then it kind of makes sense, but personally, when I see an establishing shot like this and hear dialogue shortly after, I tend to stop and watch, and I'm fairly certain most people are the same way, considering the fact that grabbing attention is one of the main reasons establishing shots exist in the first place.
Anyway, the story is that Jack is tired of the same old things happening every Halloween.
Again? Really? Jack, it's only been a year! What happened to all those new ideas you were singing about at the end of the movie?
Nevertheless, he wants to spice up the old Halloween traditions by going out to explore other worlds and discover new things.
Again? Jack, I don't know if you forgot, buddy, but things didn't exactly turn out well last time you did this. I don't know if getting shot down in the movie gave you brain damage or something, but don't go!
But of course he does, and before he goes, he asks Dr. Finkelstein to watch after the town while he's away. And the doctor gives him a tool called the Soul Robber to help him on his journey. However, Lock, Shock, and Barrel hear that Jack is leaving and decide to use his absence to bring back Oogie Boogie so he can take over the town. After all that's explained, we're finally dropped into the game, and Jack sees the town square is completely deserted before running into a hostile skeleton. And this is where the game picks up. It's, for lack of a better term, a hack and slash where you use various attacks with your soul robber to fight Oggy's monsters. And the controls are pretty damn good. Square is your basic attack, triangle does a grab move so you can smash your enemies' faces into the floor and throw them at other enemies, circle jumps, and X is to interact with objects. There isn't much in the way of combo moves, which to some lovers of hack and slashes may be a touch disappointing, but the base attacks, I can assure you, are very satisfying to use. Although Jack does say, "Soul Robber!" every time you use the grab move. But there are some alternate moves you can do with the Soul Robber. Spinning the left analog stick and hitting square will do a spin attack, and if you hold the triangle to charge up the Soul Robber to the point Jack says, "Are you ready?" he'll spin the enemy you grab around and around, drawing in other ones and doing damage to multiple enemies. That is one of my favorite moves in the entire game. Though, much like the basic grapple attack, these alternate moves only have one audio clip associated with them.
You get used to it. Well, as much as you can anyway.
After dispatching the first round of skeletons, we hear an announcement from Oogie Boogie himself declaring the town under his control. And after we've taken care of all the enemies in the square, we see the Hides, who confirm that as soon as Jack left, Oogie returned, took control of Dr. Finkelstein, and tricked everybody into rigging the town with traps. Then the Doctor made all these evil monsters for Oogie's army and he took over the town.
And this is why if you want inspiration, you should just go to the internet, Jack. Or do what I do. Time to film the Christmas special!
Let's get into boss battles. The first one is inside Town Hall right after we meet the Hides and is against Oogie's shadow. Now I actually really like the boss fights in this game. Their patterns are simple to remember, but it's never not satisfying to whack the shit out of them with your Soul Robber. And later on, there are some areas where you have alternate and more efficient ways of fighting, but more on those later. Now right now you're probably wondering what the hell are all these notes I'm collecting for? Well, if you collect enough of them, they trigger a dance number. You see, during a boss fight, the characters will sing a duet, and in a dance number you rack up combos with a QuickTime event that goes with the music to inflict massive damage. Well, massive compared to the Soul Robber alone anyway. And while the use of QuickTime events may sound cheap to some, matching it to the game's music makes it feel surprisingly solid. And I know it just sounds like I'm trying to come up with a lame excuse to justify something a lot of people hate, but I swear, it's actually really satisfying. It's all thanks to the music. And speaking of the music, it's great! Mostly. I mean, with the exception of one boss number and some background tracks, all of the songs in this game are just the film's soundtrack with slightly changed lyrics. Now, I know if you're making a game based off a musical, you'll of course want to use the original soundtrack since it's something people love and remember from the movie. But if they were able to make one new song and background compositions, then why couldn't they add a couple more new tunes? Now don't get me wrong, the new versions are catchy, well done, and the voice actor singing is beautiful. Granted, that's probably because they got most of the original cast back. I mean, it's not like the game loses massive points in my book because of the music, it's still incredibly well done, but it seems like a huge waste of potential to me that they just rewrote some of the lyrics for a couple of the songs, wrote one new number, and then called it a day. Anyway, once we take care of Oogie's shadow, we get the Halloween holiday door. How the hell did that get out of the Hinterlands forest? Well, we don't have time to find out because apparently while we were fighting, some of Oogie's goons took Sally.
Took Sally? That's it. No more Mr. Nicebones.
A few hanging man and me dying to a skeleton horde later, we find Sally locked in the old mausoleum and fight a giant hypnotized spider. Okay, yeah, screw that. You know, I'm just gonna go see the doctor and ask him to make me a new girlfriend, maybe a bigger booty this time. I mean, you were great, Sal, but oh wait, he's hypnotized too. Better fight this spider then, Jack, or you're not gonna get laid this week.
By the way, I've always kind of wondered, how are a skeleton and a ragdoll supposed to... You know what, never mind. Knowing the mind of Tim Burton, I probably don't want to know. Wait. The movie was directed by Henry Selick, wasn't it? Well, what has he made since then? Yep, definitely don't want to know.
So we fight this spider to a rewrite of Sally's song near the end of the movie, and after gain access to our Pumpkin King suit, which allows us to breathe fire with square and cause an explosion of fire with triangle at the cost of red souls. Speaking of souls, there are three types: red, which give you the fire for your Pumpkin King suit, blue, which makes your Soul Robber attack stronger for a short time, and green, which gives you a small health boost. These tokens I'm picking up from enemies are also called souls and are used as currency in the Witch's Shop. Here you can buy more red and blue souls, as well as upgrades for your Soul Robber, Pumpkin Fire, and Jack-in-the-Boxes. Oh yeah, after you free the Doctor from Oogie, you get a Santa suit with the ability to throw Jack-in-the-Boxes to scare enemies out of hiding and make them weaker.
Holy shit, it's been 11 minutes and I'm not even done the story yet. Okay, lightning round to next important part. We do some stuff at the mayor's house. We fight Oggy again. We find out he wants to rule all 7 holidays, not just Halloween. We fight other bosses to get the rest of the holiday doors. Then we go to the Hinterlands Forest.
Which is basically a maze-like area where you find all of the holiday doors have been replaced with Oggy doors, and you have to remove them by completing time trials in order to use them to solve a puzzle back at Spiral Hill. Now this is where we hit the game's incredibly sharp difficulty curve. None of the levels or even the bosses up to this point have been particularly difficult, and keep in mind, I'm playing on the highest difficulty. Some had me stuck for a little bit, but I managed to get through after a couple tries. Until this. The Thanksgiving door. The universally agreed hardest point in the entire game. Because in this time trial, you have to destroy waves upon waves of skeletons and giants in 2 minutes. If you don't have a maxed out soul robber, maxed fire, and are loaded up on every type of soul in the game, you're fucked.
Which is why I developed Oneupgamer's Guide to Sucking Considerably Less at Nightmare Before Christmas Oggy's Revenge. I'm not saying I don't suck, because I totally do, but these strategies helped me suck considerably less.
Tip number 1. It's often said that the best offense is a good defense. Well, if that's the case, then the best defense is grabbing your enemy and slamming their face into the floor over and over. Tip number 2. I haven't mentioned crystal bottles yet, have I? You fill them up at the town fountain and can get more from either the witch's shop or by finding crystal skulls in bonus rooms scattered throughout the game. If you drink from one, your health will be completely restored. I recommend having at least 3 by the end of the game. Tip number 3. When doing the Thanksgiving time trial, use your blue souls and spin attack to dispatch the basic enemies. If they start to swarm, you quickly transform into Pumpkin King Jack and use your firebomb to blast them to bits. Once you are out of blue souls, use the firebombs until you are out of those as well. You will need full upgraded fire so you can have up to 10 bombs or this will not work. If there are any other enemies remaining, take them out with your standard Soul Robber attack. I strongly recommend maxing it out beforehand, or it is very unlikely you will kill them in time. If you follow all these steps, and the game's RNG decides not to spawn 4 fucking giants at the end of the time trial, the Thanksgiving door will be yours! But to be on the safe side, save your game while you're stocked up on everything, and if you fail the time trial, just kill yourself and load the save. Because when you continue, it doesn't replenish the souls or the healing items that you used, and going back to town for more is a pain. Actually, for that reason, just do that for every death from this point on. Anyway, after that mess, we chase Oggy out of Christmas Town and save Santa's life before taking on the final boss, Mega Oggy. And yes, that's his actual name.
Now this final battle is pretty anticlimactic, to be perfectly honest with you.
The first part of it is just you running from Oggy and blasting him with fire from exposed gas pipes with your fire breath. Which sounds cool, I know, but it's so slow and so much easier than what I did to get this far in the game that it's just super boring. And the second part, which is the final dance number of the game, is just a survival round. You take damage every time you miss a button in the QuickTime event, and you can't use any of the crystal bottles you brought with you. Which I guess makes sense since it's a short round, but damn, this last song is hard. In this mode, anyway.
And that is my main problem with this game. The difficulty.
When I got this game as a kid, I was terrible at games. Well, even more terrible than I am now. So of course, I played the game on easy. Never play this game on easy! The bosses are way too weak and go down with just a few dance numbers. Few enemies spawn when you hit a spawn point. And enemy spawn points are few and far between in easy mode, so more often than not, you're just running around with nothing happening. I never beat this game as a kid. Not because it was too hard and I got stuck, because it was too damn easy for me to enjoy. So years later, when I retried this game on hard mode, I was pleasantly surprised to see it was really fun. I was finally playing the game the way it was supposed to be played. But then there are places like the Thanksgiving door. The game is challenging, but not incredibly difficult. Up until that point, I legitimately considered just quitting the game and making this review with what footage I had.
I mean, I had over 12 hours of footage by that point. It would have been perfectly doable.
But I felt you guys needed to see the ending, so I pushed through and finally got it. Then you know what? The game got easier again. I mean, the boss fight on Spiral Hill was challenging enough, but after that, the game was cake until the final dance sequence.
This game's difficulty is so sporadic, it's freaking nuts. But it is still pretty fun to play. I mean, I may be talking with a bit of nostalgia here, but I honestly do think this game is still pretty damn enjoyable. And if you see it sitting on a store shelf or online, go ahead and pick it up. Now, before I close this review, I do want to talk about one more thing, something that some of you have probably noticed since the first few gameplay clips I showed. This game is a copycat.
Now, I hear a lot of people compare it to God of War, and while I do see the similarities with the reach and mechanics of the Blades of Chaos and the Soul Robber, I find this game is more a copy of Devil May Cry. The interaction and exploratory elements are a perfect match, not to mention the similar items and inventory management, upgrades and moves, and both games were developed by Capcom, so I highly doubt it's a coincidence. But don't let that turn you off the game. It's still really fun. I mean, in my opinion, I would rather have a licensed game be a copy of something that works and give us a fun game rather than try something else and give us a piece of crap. I mean, look at Ghost Rider on the PS2. I loved this game as a kid. I played it religiously, and it's a carbon copy of God of War.
So there you have it. A Nightmare Before Christmas game. Maybe not the most festive game, but definitely a game worth remembering. And now, a festive musical number! Oh! What?
We don't have a musical number.
What do you mean? It's a Christmas special. There has to be a musical number.
Dude, this video has to be uploaded tomorrow. Do you think we have time to record and edit a song?
Well, can I at least end on a rhyme?
Fine, but make it quick. This thing is pushing 16 minutes.
Fine. So there was my review of a spooky festive game. Hopefully it taught you that not all film games are lame. I hope your happy holidays were full of joy and fun. But knowing me, this review's late. So happy Easter, everyone!
Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail, hippity hopping.